How much time do you want for your progress?
Welcome to Clatter Chatter on Things That Matter, the podcast that is intellectually engaging, theologically reflecting, encouraging, sociologically imagining ways in which we can live. Thank you for spending this short amount of time with us. We promise you that you will not regret a moment of it. Shout out to Trevor Smith and VJ Herbert for commissioning this fantastic music to get our minds going on things eternal, positive, and fulfilling life's purposes. All right. Today is August the 18th. Nope. 18th. August the 18th, 2023. I had to say no because it's more than half of the month gone. We are nearing the last quarter of 2023. Dr. Hayes, would you greet everybody?
Well, good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here on the 18th. It's as good as any other day. And the year is fast progressing. It'll be next January to March for a trial before you know it.
I know. Here we are. And there's some strange stuff happening. You know, Hurricane Hillary brewing off the coast of California and Mexico. And it's a Category 4 hurricane. And it's inching its way up to Southern California. And it's amazing because the story says that there hasn't been a hurricane in that area since 1939. And then we have still these, I'm going to say, the ramification of colonization on the island of Maui. Had we not interrupted or disrupted the indigenous Pacific Islanders doing their own thing, I really don't think. I can suppose, I can use a sociological perspective or imagination. I could even use a theological spin on it. But I believe, to be honest, it's all about hegemony and capitalism, domination, power, money. Because the interesting space is this, Dr. Hayes. On one side of Maui, there's no fire, no damage. On the other side, it's totally destruction. It's like, what more do we need to see or infer other than blatant disparities, the haves and the have-nots? It's heartbreaking to know, and people are resigning now. Oh, no, take full responsibility. Don't go tuck your tail. These hundreds of people that are now amongst the ancestors are not coming back unless they come back to haunt you. Come on, Dr. Hayes.
And they're estimating that it's going to be 1,000 people because they still have 1,000 people missing. The count went up to 109, but they wiped out a lot of people. And the numbers of cars that are just totally burned up. It's hard to imagine that a fire could come through uncontrollably and do that manner of destruction. It bears great investigation. I'll put it that way. I won't try to draw conclusions until all the information is in that can be acquired. Of course, you know, if it's something intentional, it's going to be a great cover-up. But I rather think that that's what it was. And it's unfortunate that the man who was responsible for turning on the alarm system thought that it would be counterproductive for people to hear a siren when they're used to hurricanes and not fires. But at least it would have alerted people that something unusual is going on, and maybe you need to look out your window or hold your finger up in the air or something, it would have been some notification. And so it's just an unfortunate thing, but
I don't
they'll get to
know. I don't know. I want to sit with that for a moment because that is an ethical dilemma, a major ethical dilemma. Should I act or do I act? And when a person in a leadership position have the gravity of making a decision such as that, when you know it really doesn't make a difference one way or the other because fires run swiftly. And what do? Do you incite? Or do you just say, to hell with it? I mean, this is like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And especially if you've been conditioned for the sirens to go off for weather alerts and knowing that there has been a hurricane because those could be predicted well a few days in advance. But where you going to run? What you going to do? I mean, it would cause, I believe, the visceral react, the cortisol response to stress, the stressors. We probably would have seen a lot more because of sheer gravity and the overwhelmingness of that fire. And from a theological perspective, we know it won't be water, but fire next time. You know, that old gospel song we used to sing when God told Noah to build an ark. And, you know, we got the rainbow sign that the storm will be over, but it won't be water. It's going to be the fire next time. And I would, for me, if I were there, growing up in the black church, fire and brimstone, I'd probably be like Fred Sanford, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey, right here, right now, because I wouldn't know what to do. Damn sure wouldn't have jumped in the ocean. You know what I mean?
And some people had to make that decision because they were not able to move. There were a lot of elderly, you know, and sick people probably that had no means of moving themselves. They just had to be a part of what was going on. It's yes, it gives you pause. It makes you think. It makes you wonder. And of course, we're always given to speculation. But I'm just hopeful that they will do a thorough investigation. They won't write it off as something that it's not. But the thing in the aftermath is that they're doing a lot of land grabbing. In other words, they're trying to come in and convince people to sell their land and get out quick because they know that they're going to rebuild. This is a very popular vacation spot. Tourist trade is, you know, and then many people that had shops were not natives. They were people who had come in because they knew that tourists would be looking for that kind of support or kind of attraction that people look for when they're on vacation. So it bears watching. It's gonna turn around, no doubt. I just want them to really, if it's possible, to find out what was the cause of the fire, if it was natural or if it was, you know, provoked by some individual that had some ulterior motive.
I think I saw a clip from one of those security cameras at a house that it was lightning that struck, and then everything was just rapid fire. And with the lightning that struck the down power lines, because there was a hurricane, there was a tropical storm that took place. That's why the wind was moving at such a rapid speed. And so I think it was both. It was both ends. I mean, it was nature who has veto rights, and then it was also maybe the electrical company or power utilities that could have just shut off the massive breakers or whatever that they call it at the system, the grid, to maybe hamper some of the fire. But I mean, we can go all the woulda, coulda, shouldas, but what we have is now, and how do we become neighbors to those who are in such need? I'm grateful that we don't have a leader of the nation that would throw paper towel like what happened to another colonized area in Puerto Rico, throwing paper towel when Hurricane Maria hit. I believe that we have a little more an empathetic leader who will do more than just throw paper towels to help. And speaking of which, we haven't really had a conversation about the indictment number 4 and all the king's men and women that are going down this rabbit hole with someone who, all I can say is Fonnie Willis is no joke. And keep her safe. And Lord help the ones who think they can scare folks, like that crazy ass woman in Texas go and threaten to kill. You think people can't hear you? They can hear your thoughts. Have you ever thought about the algorithms? They can hear your thoughts, Dr. Hayes, like God. God knows our thoughts.
You're giving her credit for more intelligence than she has. That's her heart. She's pitiful to think that she could level that kind of threat, even if nobody else heard it. Way down in Texas, what is she going to do about something in Georgia?
Mm-hmm. No, this was the D.C., the federal judge. She was doing this to the federal judge, Judge Chokton. That she was threatening her, and I'm like, are you? See, okay, so there was a little thing that went on that my sister said the other day about this is the problem when you have civics being taught by coaches. I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that, but somewhere along the way, a whole generation of people failed civics because they didn't pay attention. They didn't realize that. My 6th grade teacher used to say, "Your rights end where your nose begins, and my rights end where my nose ends." So at the tip of my nose, this is my right. This is my space. I cannot encroach upon your space because your rights begin where your nose begins. That was such a powerful analogy from a 6th grade teacher when she was trying to teach us how to be civic minded in a classroom. That you couldn't just touch each other like you wanted to, whether you were just having fun or not. Keep your hands to yourself. Mind your business. Just basic stuff. Know the basic structures of a government, the legislative, judicial, and executive branches, and know fully well that don't be threatening nobody, because it's going to come back to you. Just stop. I don't get it, Dr. Hayes.
There are people who learn these lessons growing up, and then there are those who just follow whoever the leader is. And if your leader's Donald Trump, then you're gonna follow his edict, his ethic, and we know that he is signaling to his so-called base or to the people who follow him to get people who are trying to get him.
Bully. Oh, big old baby bully.
Yeah. And he's in bad shape, He's got to be scared. I won't say the word that I've heard used, but he's got to be really scared because there's so many options to take him down. And surely he will not escape them all. And I put my money on Fonnie, just like you. I think if anybody meets out justice, it will be Fonnie and the folks in Georgia. And they tell me that there's going to be a very young judge who will sit over the case, and he is a former colleague of Fonnie Willis as well. He used to be one of the people that worked under her. And so it's going to be interesting to watch, and I think it's a good thing that it's going to be televised, even though it'll create a whole lot of tension, a whole lot of reaction, most likely. But I think it's important for people to see for themselves and not wait for the report from someone who may have a biased view of how the trial progresses. And hopefully there will be those who will hear the truth and be set free.
Well, Dr. Hayes, I just go back and, I think about, because both of us are clergy, we are theologians, have that theological foundation, scholarly through our alma mater, Eden Theological Seminary. I've spent years studying ancient texts, biblical texts, etc. But one of the most prophetic voices of modern times is the creative genius and brilliance of Shonda Rhimes. Because I kid you not, had I not been so wrapped up in Scandal and loving all of the energy from, what's that, B613? Was that life imitating art or art imitating life? I mean, where is Olivia Pope when you need it? I almost wish we could go back, since the writers are on strike, etc. We all need to just go back and look at Scandal from beginning to end, because if this is not scandalous where we are, all of it
Not scandalous.
It's just a hot mess.
It's borderline demonic, if you ask me.
Well, that too, and that's it. So what do we do? How do we get rid of the devil? What does it take? Overcome evil with what?
Good.
Yeah, and don't grow weary in doing.
Don't grow weary in well doing.
Because if you faint not,
you will reap. You will reap. And I believe in justice. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. And so, ultimately, justice will be done. Justice will be done. I believe that. And it may not take on the complexion that we might want to see, but it will be the perfect justice for the people who are involved. I believe that.
I love it. I love that quote. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. And that's it, Dr. Hayes. Until next time, we'll see you soon. All right. Take care. It has been a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to have you join in with us today. Remember that everything will be all right until we meet again. Stay safe and well.